All right, so today we are diving deep into vendor management, and we've got this white paper from Vendifi for 2024, and it looks like they're really trying to make this whole often overlooked thing a lot easier.
Yeah, especially I think for folks working within Microsoft environments, which can be
Right.
a whole other beast.
Exactly.
And they're really tackling a pain point here
Right.
because vendor management done right underpins a really well-oiled business.
Yeah.
But if you do it poorly, that's where things can really fall apart.
So not something you want to mess around with.
No.
Okay, so for those of us who don't think about contracts and compliance all day, what exactly is vendor management?
Okay.
And what makes it so challenging?
Imagine you're juggling dozens, maybe hundreds of contracts from all your vendors,
Mhm.
right? Software licenses, catering services, marketing agencies.
Oh, yeah,
The list goes on and on.
for sure.
And now try to keep track of all those contracts, make sure they're up to date, compliant with the latest regulations.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
That sounds like a recipe for a massive headache.
And not just a headache, a real business risk. You've got data security to worry about the financial stability of your vendors, even potential reputational damage
Oh, wow.
if things go south. So that's why I think this Vendifi platform is so interesting.
So they're like the solution to all our vendor woes.
Well, they're certainly aiming to make things easier, right?
Mhm.
Their platform is all about centralizing and streamlining everything.
Okay.
They're talking about automation, data analysis, even AI.
Hold on. AI for vendor management. Tell me more.
Right. You don't hear that every day.
No.
One of the standout features is this AI document identification.
Okay.
So you upload a document, let's say a contract,
Mm-hmm.
and the AI analyzes it, categorizes it, and extracts all the key information.
Wow.
Like having a superpowered intern who never sleeps.
Okay, that does sound kind of amazing.
Right.
But how does it actually work? Is it really as simple as set it and forget it?
Well, it uses some pretty sophisticated technology. I'm thinking it's probably a combination of natural language processing and machine learning to understand the content of those documents.
To make sense of it.
Yeah. But as with any AI, there are limitations.
Well, it's not about replacing human oversight entirely.
Exactly. It's
Right.
about giving humans better tools,
Right.
freeing them up from those tedious manual tasks so they can focus on the strategic stuff, building stronger vendor relationships.
I like that.
And that's something that Vendifi really emphasizes. Yeah, it's not just about, ticking boxes and getting those signatures.
Right, it's about the relationship.
It's about partnership, right? It's about trust and communication and really understanding each other's goals.
I like that.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out the right approach, though, for each vendor? Because,
Right.
like you said, you're not going to manage a software giant the same way you manage the catering company that you work with.
Exactly. And that's where I think risk assessment is so important.
Okay.
And Vendifi really stresses this.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. You need to analyze the potential risks each vendor brings to the table, from data breaches to financial instability, and then you can tailor your approach accordingly.
And then there's the whole compliance piece on top of it,
Oh, yeah,
where every industry has its own set of rules.
absolutely. And keeping up with that can be a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, for sure.
But it seems like Vendifi gets that because their platform offers a lot of flexibility.
So you can customize it to fit your own needs and your own industry.
Exactly.
That makes sense. It's really making me think about all the things that go on behind the scenes
Yeah.
that we never even consider.
Right.
Like, we just expect our deliveries to show up.
Yeah.
We expect websites to work. We expect all these services to just happen.
And it's easy to take all of that for granted until it breaks.
That's true.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's when effective vendor management can really save the day.
So we've established it's complex, it's crucial, and it's probably way more interesting than most people think.
Definitely.
But for someone who's just starting to think about this for the first time, where do they even begin?
Well, Vendifi actually hints at a great starting point in the paper.
Right?
Process mapping.
What is process mapping?
So process mapping is basically visualizing your workflow.
Yeah.
It's like creating a roadmap for how you handle your vendor relationships from start to finish.
So like a flow chart for how you deal with your vendor.
Exactly.
Okay.
And even without fancy software, just the act of mapping it out can be really eye-opening.
Yeah?
It forces you to analyze each step and see where things can be improved.
Right. To lay the groundwork for a more efficient system.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that this is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
You're always evaluating, adapting, and improving as your business needs change.
I like that. So we talked about how to manage vendors, but let's talk about why this is so important.
Right.
What's at stake if businesses don't get this right?
Oh, the stakes are huge.
Right.
We're talking about financial hits from mismanaged contracts,
Oh, yeah.
compliance nightmares that can lead to fines lawsuits,
Wow.
Even reputational damage that can go viral in seconds these days.
Those are some scary consequences.
And don't forget about the internal chaos.
Right.
Inefficient processes, missed deadlines, frustrated employees.
Yeah, it all snowballs.
Exactly.
So you want to be proactive and prevent these things, not just react when things blow up.
100%. You need that solid framework, clear communication, that commitment to continuous improvement. And yes, the right tools can make all the difference.
Which brings us right back to Vendifi.
Right.
It sounds like they're offering a pretty comprehensive solution.
They've definitely done their homework. From contract management to risk assessment to vendor performance evaluation, they're really hitting those big pain points. But you know what I like? They get it. They get that human element.
Right, because we can have all the fancy algorithms in the world.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it still comes down to people working with people.
It does. It's about building those real lasting partnerships.
I like that.
That's where the real value is for your business and for your vendors, too.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah.
And Vendifi seems to get that.
Yeah, they're not just throwing tech at the problem, right?
Yeah.
They think about the human side of it, too.
They're building a platform that supports those human connections.
Absolutely.
I like it. So as we wrap up our deep dive into vendor management,
Yeah.
any final words of wisdom for our listeners out there trying to navigate this whole world?
I'd say don't underestimate a good relationship.
Yeah.
Invest the time, get to know your vendors, communicate clearly, and really look for those opportunities to collaborate.
It's about seeing your vendors as partners in your success,
Right. Absolutely.
not just somebody who's providing a service.
When you're both invested, good things happen.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
We went from contracts and compliance to AI to the power of human connection. I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
It's amazing how much there is to unpack with vendor management, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before we sign off, any parting thoughts on how our listeners can stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah.
Because obviously things are changing so quickly these days.
Oh, for sure. I think the biggest thing is just to stay curious, stay flexible,
Yeah.
embrace those new ideas, and never stop learning.
Love is words to live by.
Right.
That's fantastic.
So,
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of vendor management.
my pleasure.
And to all of you listening out there, until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those vendor relationships thriving.